You're going through so much shit to try and deal with life. You are literally, it's an unhealthy space. And so eventually you're going to go too far. You know, who knows what happened to Philip? Who knows what Heath had to do in order to get to where he was at? There's a lot of things that people do that end up sitting and they can't get over it. And they got to keep getting high, hoping to get it out of their head. You know, but when you lose your man card, that's the only thing I can think of. You lose your damn man card.
What is that? What do you mean by that?
So many of you probably seen the interview Terrance Howard did about a week ago. That interview was very interesting. He brought a lot of things to the light, and he spoke about something that, that's been a hot topic of late, considering the whole situation with Diddy and the whole entertainment industry. Just a little while back, Anthony Mackie spoke about this, and it was, masculinity and manhood being under attack. And Terrance Howard told a story in this interview about how, men losing their manhood and a man card is something that you can never recover from. And he's yet to see anyone recover from it. And he talked about, an example of how, P. Diddy himself invited him over and told him under the guise of, hey, I need you to help me with some acting. I want you to show me a few things, give me a few pointers. And
you don't trade that in, no matter what.
Hey, did you ever have the opportunity where you got invited and you said no to it?
Hell yeah.
What was the consequences when you said no?
Puffy invited me for weeks, asking me to come and teach him how to, wanted me to be his acting coach for a while. Go there and he's sitting around just looking. I'm like, okay, what's the material you want to work on? He's just looking at me. Then next thing you know, okay, hey, will you help me? I want to hear your music. So I come over there and I play the music. And he's sitting there just looking at me, like waiting. Okay. So then my assistant was like, he wants to hang out with you next week. And I was like, for what? He's like, I think he's trying to fuck you. That's what my assistant said. And I was like, oh, okay. Now I get it. So now no more communication. Now you know to be hands off with somebody. A number of producers come in to make the approach, and you threaten to punch them in the mouth or threaten to knock their head off for talking to you or looking at you like you're a woman. When you approach a real man about his masculinity, you're going to get a real reaction back. It's a difference when a guy walks in a room and when a man walks into a room. And a man don't take the same things that a guy will accept. So always be the man in the room. And that's always been my whole thing, and have lost businesses because I don't.
Thing I did was laugh, because the assistant kept it a buck with him. Told him straight up, yeah, I think he's trying to knock you down, which is not funny in itself, considering we now know that Diddy, yeah, he was knocking him down, literally. But the fact of the matter is, Terrance Howard understood right then and there what was going on. He was being groomed. Diddy was trying to warm him up to the idea of, yo, let me get that. And Terrance Howard wasn't with that. Terrance Howard also spoke about how, his career and business opportunities have taken a hit because, he's had producers and people in the entertainment industry step to him with some fugazi stuff, and he told him, look, man, I knock your head off your shoulders, talking to me like that, or approaching me like that, or looking at me like that. Because he said the most important thing for a man to have is his manhood. And he's right. You're born one time with your manhood. Once you give that up, you can never get that back. And that's a fact. Now, he's not talking to people who are in situations where, by force, this was taken from them. Someone getting drugged and, them being violated. No, he's talking about people who willingly laid down to give up their manhood, all so they can gain popularity, a certain career, awards, money, brands, all this stuff we see, and they tell you you should be working on obtaining. Guys are willingly heading to the casting couch or to some music exec's office, locking the door behind them and getting it in for these deals and opportunities. Those are the people he's talking about. And he said it. Everybody who went to those puffy parties, not the party where, hey, you just have some drinks, got a live DJ. He's talking about that party after the party where there's some strange stuff going on. That type of party. And he said, women have done it, given up their bodies. He says men now are doing the same thing. And the casting couch has been around since the beginning of Hollywood. It is, and it has, and it's not going anywhere. You've heard many people start to speak out about this. Tupac back in the day spoke out about this, where he talked about how Quincy Jones tried to get him to, serve him up. Monique has talked about this, she even said in an interview, you'll have a producer or exec come to you and tell you you're going to get down and do X, Y, and Z. And you're not going to speak about it. Why? Because I have your career in my hand. And, I will make it so where you will not be able to make another dollar in this town again. And that's a hard thing to have to live with. Everybody laughed at Terry Crews. Go back to Terry Crews' situation. And everybody was like, man, you too big to allow that happen. Physically, stature-wise, yeah, he is. But Terry Crews knew what the game was about. Because if Terry Crews had beat the brakes off of that studio executive, he would have ended up in jail and he would have been banned from Hollywood. And he would have never been able to get another gig in mainstream Hollywood again. Let me say that again. He would have been banned from Hollywood and never been able to get a mainstream Hollywood gig again. And that's what Terrance Howard said. Jamie Foxx openly admitted and said that, hey, Terrance Howard got a raw deal on the Iron Man situation. Everybody knows about that situation. He was in the very first Iron Man as Rhodey. Now, at that time, Terrance Howard was a bigger name, a bigger draw than Robert Downey Jr. Robert Downey Jr. was known for partying in Vegas and doing coke. Let's just call a spade a spade. That's what he was known for. He lands the Iron Man role, who, by the way, they actually pitched that role to a couple other actors before they landed on Robert Downey Jr. Robert Downey Jr. landed that role. Terrance Howard was like, yo, I understand, he's playing the main character, but at this stage of our careers, I'm a bigger draw. I should be getting paid a little more money. Studios say there's no way in hell we're paying you more than the main character. Now, we don't know if there was some stipulations involved with that, but he was removed after the first movie. Terrance Howard also spoke about it in previous interviews where he said that, they told him, look, you're going to play in multiple Iron Man movies, multiple Marvel movies, and then eventually we're going to give you a spinoff as War Machine, because that's who his character would eventually evolve in, from Rhodey to War Machine, when he would put the armored suit on. And he got removed. And then they start putting out the rumors, oh, he's hard to work with. Oh, he created conflict on the set and blah, blah, blah. All this other foolishness that they do when they try to tear down your name. But the question is, what did they really want from Terrance Howard? Because they brought in Don Cheadle. So now the question is, what did Don Cheadle give them for that role as Rhodey / War Machine? And he, in the interview with the PBD podcast, he said, your manhood is the most important thing to you. Once you lose your man card.
Manhood? I've never seen somebody recover from it. That was all the people that went to the puffy parties. That was all the people that did all those things thinking that there was never going to be a consequence for what they were doing. Get punked out and pimped out by some greater desire. You shouldn't have a greater desire than being a man. So I believe that's a big problem with a lot of the actors out there because they get fluid. And next thing you know, once you go fluid, it's gone. You don't have any foundation to pull yourself back from. So maintain your man card, no matter what.
Man, I mean.
And one of the names they brought up was Justin Bieber. And we can all see that Justin Bieber has been on a downward spiral even before Diddy got arrested and all this stuff came out. And Justin Bieber, to be honest with you, never got a chance to really protect his man card. He was given over to Diddy when he was just 15 years old, 14 years old. And we all now know the infamous video that's out there where he's standing next to Diddy at some house, as Diddy put it, an undisclosed location, and he had guardianship over him for 48 hours. And, you know, they're going to be doing a lot of stuff. Take that how you want it. Who brought Justin Bieber to Diddy? Usher. This sound familiar? Usher. What happened to Usher when he was just a young boy? His mother turned him over to Diddy for Puffy Flavor Camp. And now you can't get Usher to say anything about Diddy. And when he does, it's usually something positive. And then there's a bunch of other stories that we'll get into another day and time. But back to Terrance Howard. He also talked about these guys who've given up their man card and their manhood end up on heavy drugs, alcohol, because they're trying to block this stuff out, get this stuff out their mind that they participated in. And he's admitted that, yeah, if I got to go play the Chitlin circuit, which is another name for, you know, the not so popular movie roles, the low budget movies, you know, what we call back in the day, the straight to VHS, straight to DVD movies. They don't go into the movie theaters. He said, if I got to do that, I'm good with that. I've already done what I came to do, and that was change the universe with what I wanted to do. And by his standards and metrics, he's already accomplished that. So anything else on top of that for him now is just, you know, icing on the cake. But for him to take a hard stance on not giving up his man card or his manhood, I applaud him for that.
Businesses, because I don't bend over in that way. I don't compromise. I don't play gay roles. I don't kiss a man. I don't do that shit because the man card means everything.
I had no idea we're going to go this direction with the podcast. This is absolute. But listen, we've talked about it. We've had a lot of the guys on to talk about this stuff. Are you done with Hollywood because of this specific reason?
I'm still working. I still, you know, I haven't made the money necessary to do all of the other stuff. So I still have to go and do the Chitlin circuit. I still have to do the job that I need to. But eventually, I've done what I set out to do, which was to redefine the universe. I've proven what I've set out to do.